Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to another video. I wanted to take a second just to kind of chat a little bit about military lifestyle and the community that is that. I actually got several requests to do a video like this several months earlier, but I didn't feel comfortable necessarily sitting down and chatting about different stuff just because I was only a few months into the military lifestyle, into what that looks like. I will just say I am still only a year into being a military spouse, which I know I have so much more to learn, and obviously my experiences are going to be different from any other military spouse's experiences. But for the most part, when we get to typical things you have to deal with, medical care, just the system of hierarchy stuff, that's going to be pretty much the same. But I just want to chat about my experience so far, this first year of marriage and being a part of the military community. I think it's really interesting. I think a lot of people probably find it very interesting as well. And so also, like, if you are a military spouse or you're about to be one, maybe this could just be a good introduction to what it's kind of like, and yeah, just like kind of finding that community with each other. So if you are watching and you are a military spouse, definitely let me know. I'd love to connect. I think that's so cool. That's like one of the coolest parts about being a part of the military community. There is just so many opportunities for connections and like just meeting new people. So definitely let me know, and yeah, we're gonna hop right into the video. Before we do, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that post notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so up front, like I said, I am very new to this, like literally 13 months of being a military spouse, and I've honestly learned a lot even within the year, but I wanted to kind of just share my experiences with you thus far from this past year of being married to an Air Force officer. So within the year, we've actually moved twice. Okay, here we go. A little bit of backstory if you don't know Hunter and I's story. We dated in high school. We both were in Virginia together. We both went to college in separate places. So I was in Tennessee and he was in Colorado at the academy. So we did long distance for a little while. And from that point, we got married right after graduation. And so we came back to Virginia, got married, and Hunter was actually stationed at Langley right after that. So we were there for about 6 months, which was really nice because we got to be home and hang out with my family and just like soak up all that time. We lived in a very small apartment off base. If you guys have watched my stuff from the beginning, you know just how small that apartment is. We made it work, but it was crazy. But anyway, so that was really cool. We kind of got to experience what it was like to be off base but be only like 5-10 minutes away from base. I'm also gonna say it really depends on like what stage of life your spouse is in, because for us that first 6 months, like Hunter wasn't a part of anything specific because he wasn't doing anything that was related to his job. It was a casual job, so it was kind of like a waiting game until he was ready to go to pilot training. So obviously this is from our experience of going to pilot training. If you aren't in that situation, it's going to be different for you, but for us, this is where we were. So we hung out, we got to know a ton of people. It was so cool. It was a really interesting and unique opportunity because for me at that stage in life, I had no idea anything about the military. I was a raised military family. I like honestly had not really experienced anything other than, you know, living near military bases. So it was a little daunting. Luckily for me, I had such a great experience off the bat. I came into this like squadron that we weren't even a part of, and these spouses like took me in, and I still to this day like love the Watwoods. They were so sweet. Haley was awesome, and like just bringing me in and being so open and like not making me feel bad or weird about like not knowing. But I mean, I'm not kidding. The first day I went to her house, her and Laura Charlton, they were just hanging out, and they like let me come over and hang out too, and it was so cool. But I remember sitting there like, I have no idea what you're talking about, because they were just talking about all the planes and like all this military stuff, and I'm like, I'm so confused. I had no clue what they were saying. It was like every other word, and I was like, oh no, this is bad. And I just remember Haley just being, oh no, like you'll get it, don't worry, like it'll become second nature to you. And even a year from then, it totally has. But it's just interesting and so cool to me to see where I came from, and just such a cool opportunity, because I know off the bat a lot of women have experienced, you know, really negative responses and reactions from other military spouses, and that's just like not the experience I had. Thank goodness I had such a great one. And so I wanted to thank you ladies just for like making my experience like that. I hope when I get to meet new spouses coming in that I'll get to be able to do that for them, because I know it just like means the world and it makes such a difference. So wanted to throw that in there. As we started, we got to just like hang out with that squadron, even though we weren't like a part of it. He was in a flying squadron and they weren't obviously flying, they had no training, anything like that. So it was just kind of like they were there to help support that squadron for the time being. So we stayed there for 6 months, and then Hunter went to IFT. So that was initial flight training, and that was back in Colorado. So I was home for about 6 weeks around the time of Thanksgiving leading up to Christmas, alone with just me and Gorb and my family. Thank goodness I had my family with me. So he came back and we ended up moving from Virginia to Texas in February. So we've been here since, and this experience is a little different because we are on base. So we went from like a 1-bedroom apartment to a 3-bedroom like house complex type deal. There's like enlisted and singles, and then there's like married units. So we are in one of the sets of married units, and it's really cool. Everyone is so nice. Everyone is so giving, and they just want to help. Even at this point in time, I can think of like numerous times where people have just been able to just like be there in a second when you need it, or go grab your groceries if you can't, or watch your dog, or like drop something off for you, or I don't know, just like so many things. I think it is more because of, you know, we all know what each other is going through, especially in our situation. Again, this is going to probably be a little different, but for us, all these officers here are awaiting pilot training, or they're in pilot training, or they just finished. So it's kind of just like everyone's kind of flying here or in the process. And so a lot of the spouses just get it, and they know what the work is like, and they know just like the emotions that come with that. And so everyone's just all hands on deck, and it's like the coolest thing ever. So we definitely knew we wanted to be on base at some point in this whole journey, and I think we would do it again. I think it will be different though moving forward, you know, after Hunter gets an assignment, like what that next thing is going to be, because it's just different. Especially bigger bases, it's going to be just harder because there's a lot going on, a lot of people doing different things. Here it's just like very intimate because everyone's doing like the same thing, if that makes sense. But yes, that was our kind of experience moving here. We have done a ditty move, which is like like you do it yourself, and we've also done 1 mil move for those 2 events. And gotta say, there's pros and cons to both, for sure. The ditty move was a lot, like a lot. We had so many things, and we were also moving things from like Colorado, Alabama, Virginia, trying to get it all packed up in one and move it. So it was crazy. You have to like weigh it, you have to keep records of it, you have to like turn all that in to be able to get paid. But the good thing is you do get paid out of it. So like you're making some money because you're doing a lot of the work, but it's a lot of work. So we did a mill move getting here, and it was so much nicer on the work front because you literally don't do anything. I mean, if you don't know what a mill move is, they literally, you have to just stand here to like be present, and they will break down everything, they will move everything, they will box it all, and they will move it out. So you just have to be here to see, like, to make sure that, you know, they're just doing their job, and you can help tell them like, hey, I want this to go in here or whatever, but you don't physically touch anything, which is crazy. I never like knew that was a thing before jumping into this, and it's wild. But I will say the downside to that is you risk, you know, them breaking things. We've had a couple things that were broken, but nothing crazy. I know some people have really expensive, really nice things broken. The thing is, like, if you're in that spot and you don't want it to be broken, try to take it with you and if you're driving, versus them just like packing it up, because you don't know what it's going to turn out to be like. And then the other downside is like you're just not getting paid that little bit of extra money on top of it because they're doing it for you. So there's pros and cons to both. If you're like in that spot, I would just like weigh those out just to like give you a little bit of insight into like what that moving situation's like. That's it. So I talked a little bit about the community, especially like for pilot training specifically. You know, you're put in classes, and so the classes spouses can like form groups and just like do things together. So that's really cool. Another thing that's kind of big about the military culture is like TRICARE. I had never really had an experience with TRICARE, obviously, beforehand or anything of the sort. I just knew you didn't really get a heavy preference on a certain doctor or how you go about that, obviously, because it is covered under TRICARE. So that's been an experience. I've had a few I would say several doctor's appointments in the past year, ranging from physical to, you know, pap smear to getting allergies checked, all that good stuff. And it's been an experience. Sometimes things just get like lost and like fall through the cracks, and I think that's more just because of the system that's set up. It's a very saturated system just because of the lack of employees for those healthcare positions, and just like the multitude of people who get covered under TRICARE. I think that's kind of part of it, but overall, like the actual experience of getting treated, people are amazing. Like it's no different from like going to another doctor, but I will just say like the system of it, getting things processed a little faster or slower, that's where it gets a little different. But I'm not gonna say anything like negative about it because it is what it is. Like you're getting free healthcare, so like you shouldn't complain that much about it, but it is just like what it is. So kind of along with the community aspect of things, it's really cool because there are also like so many Facebook groups for anything. People will just leave free stuff on the sidewalk, or like, hey, I have to leave out of town, does someone watch my 4-year-old? Like that does not happen in the real world, but let me tell you, it happens in the military world because everyone's just like on board and they'll help you with whatever. And so I think that's like really cool. And the last thing I'm kind of touch on is just like the command structure system. I don't really know much. I can't like go in depth on like all the, you know, hierarchy of positions, but there is such a thing. So especially like in pilot training, IPs, which are instructor pilots, can't really become friends with student pilots just because, you know, they gotta grade them, they gotta do all that good stuff. They don't want people like forming these like bonds and it getting into like an iffy situation with how they grade and how they get through all that good stuff. So I'm sure you can understand that. There's some like little things like that where you just have to kind of be careful. But other than that, like I am not in any way mandated or bound to certain rules and structures that like I can't talk to people. That is a myth. I remember hearing that beforehand, like, you know, you can't speak to these people, and like, no, yes you can. And you should, because you're a human and they want to be treated like a human too. So doesn't matter if you are under my husband and his rank or above him, like I'm gonna respect you either way. So that's kind of like what I can speak to now at this point. Like it's nothing crazy, but it is a little different than just like being out in the real world, I would say. But that's just kind of my experience up until this point. So just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope that's helpful. I know there are several military spouses that follow me or that like just know about like where we're at in the season of life, and so I wanted to share that hopefully as an encouragement to you that you're gonna do fine, you're gonna find your people, you're gonna learn all the things, and it's gonna be great. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video.